I start out my story, actually, you got a good snapshot of my whole story is on YouTube, those interviews. And that video you saw earlier today came out today, actually. It's in honor of Armed Forces Day, which I'm honored to be here for such an auspicious day. This is, Armed Forces Day honors our active service members, Guard and Reserve, who are, hey, Aaron, I didn't get to say hi to you coming in. Or just think that he's a VIP guest, Mr. Aaron. Yes, sir. These are my brothers from another writing group, and they're all veterans and combat guys, and we all write together and meet monthly and bi-monthly, and been friends with these guys for years. But anyway, nice to see you, sir. So anyway, back to my story. I'm thinking about writers, and I don't even have trouble calling myself a writer. I just like to write. I don't consider myself an author or writer. It's something I do. It's like my thing. We like to tell stories. And I meant when I first got here, somebody asked me, he was retired from the Army. And I said, well, man, you're going to get another story coming at you here when you open up that Pandora's box. Because I saw a young lady with a USMC on her hat. And I said, I started out there, enlisted USMC, Parris Island, South Carolina, 3rd Battalion, it's URA, excuse me. So anyway, that's how I started. And I went, did enlisted reserve for a couple years, and I was going to college, and then I got commissioned officer of Marines. Did my active duty with the Marine Corps as a lieutenant, and got off active duty. Here's another story, okay? So I had a filmmaking degree. Okay, communications, yeah. That is, 50 cents will get you a cup of coffee, making it in that business, good luck. Well, anyway, so I had my Screen Actors Guild card, and if you look at my videos, you'll find out why. When I was very young, I had a lucky break and got in a movie, but it was a military movie too. And I ended up becoming the technical advisor for that, and it's probably stuff you don't even know about. I don't really talk about it too much because it's like a different life. But, so I got out of the Marine Corps, 29 pounds, had a little baby, the three of us, my wife, me, and my baby. And so I said, well, I got my actor's card. Let me try to go to Hollywood, see if I can get an agent and get a movie. And I knew a couple celebrities, and I did. So I did get an agent, and my first audition, this is a true story, it's in my autobiography, which is to be released soon, called My Military Life. And that, my first audition, I kid you not, was for a first lieutenant, U.S. Marine Corps. I couldn't make this up. 2 weeks before, I had left 29 pounds as a first lieutenant, U.S. Marine Corps. I still had the high and tight from active duty, okay? So I go in there, I do my reading, and I could tell they maybe were overly enthused. I mean, I definitely looked the part, because, Marines, we were in shape. Back then I don't know how much I was benching, but it was way over 300 pounds. I mean, I was working out, I was a maniac. 300 PFT, back in the day, not today. Anyway, I didn't get the part. I was a first lieutenant USMC. And so my first experience in Hollywood was, I didn't get a part. They said I wasn't right for the part. So any Hollywood aspirations went out the window at that time, and I went in a different direction. So I was Marine Corps Reserve, and I was a captain, Marine Corps Reserve. Desert Storm came. I got called up 1 day of duty. I went in there, I'm all ready to go. I'm packing my bags. They said, we don't need you. Thank you. I was there 1 day. Then after the war ended, I got a discharge notice. It was in the 90s. It was like I was part of the reduction in force, RIF. So there I was fully trained, educated, Marine Corps captain, reserve, had, and I'm out in the cold. But that's what, it's the Marine Corps. Back then, that's what the military did. And so a couple of years, I just floundered around civilian business. Long story short, the Army came knocking at my door, Army National Guard. And they said, yeah, well, you have a good credit score, you're not in trouble, you haven't been arrested, so yeah, we got a job for you. And so, well, you got that shiny thing on you that shiny thing on your chest, you're jump qualified. I said, yeah, I've been to airborne school. Yeah, you know. They called me a 5 jump chump because the minimum in jump school is 5 jumps. You get your wings and you're on your way. And I was so scared out of my life from high heights. That was it for me. I got no more airborne. I went Marine Corps and went on the ground. But they said, yeah, well, I said, well, you know, my roommate in college was Special Forces, and we were always competing and butting heads and competing, and it was who's gonna outdo the other, the Marine or the Special Forces guy. So we were always going at it, you know. And he was a stud. Let me tell you, he was. That's a whole another topic of discussion where his career went, but he was very successful in special ops. So I said, yeah, I'd like to do that special ops thing. You know, the whole thing, like in the '90s, about wearing an Army uniform as a Marine. I'm, you know, still till this day, I don't know. But I got over that hurdle. It took about 2 years to get in. Honest to goodness, 2 years to get in an organization. Are you kidding me? So right there is kind of a red flag, like this with this organization. Like, how can it take? Anyway, I get in. They said, okay, we want you to come in. We're going to swear you in. You're going to send you off to training. And I said, okay, cool. So they bring me in. They say, raise your right hand, Sergeant McBrearty. And I said, wait a minute. I said, time out. I said, captain. I was a captain. They said, no, you're going Special Forces. You're a sergeant, man. We ain't got no captain slots. And I said, forget it. I said, I'm a captain. Put me in anything. So they put me in the infantry, cavalry, infantry, and the rest is kind of history. I ended up going full-time. I was in the Active Guard Reserve program, did a full-time active duty career 32 years later, and here I am.